And good morning. Let me ask you a question. Is everything in your life as you would love it right now? Do you have everything in your life that you would absolutely love to have? Because if there's lack or scarcity, you're in contraction. You've been trying to prove you're right. And that is the result of justifying and not creating. My name is Judy V, and I work with people. I work with entrepreneurially minded people to become financially empowered so that they can have the freedom that they deserve. And today what I'm actually speaking about is justifying, and how by justifying it's keeping you trapped in the trap of contraction. Okay, the opposite to creation is not destruction, it's justifying. Okay, that's what keeps us stuck. All right, when you start understanding the cause and effect of everything, of absolutely everything in your life, right down to your financial situation, your net worth, your relationships, your fitness, your health, absolutely everything. When you start understanding the concept of cause and effect around each one of those areas of life, and you stop justifying, then you can actually start making incredible changes and creating incredible shifts in your life. So let's take wealth building, for example. Let's take wealth. If you do not have the net worth that you would love, if you do not have the finances that allow you to live the life that you would love, to actually spend every single day doing what it is you absolutely love, doing every day what fills your soul, what feeds your soul, what expands you, what inspires you. If you're not doing that, is it finances that are keeping you from doing that? Is it wealth that's stopping you from doing that? So what I want you to do is stop focusing on the justification for it and start understanding the concept around cause and effect. See, the thing is, we cause our effect. Now, a lot of people find that very, very scary, and I get it. It is a bit of a mind-blowing concept on some level. But I can tell you 100%, when I made that shift over 20 years ago, when I absolutely got it in a stroke of lightning, it was like a light bulb moment when I got it and I understood it. My life went from one of absolute desperation, loss, lack, scarcity, fear. Oh my gosh, absolute torment. It went from that to something that was joyous, fulfilling, and enriching. And my life literally transformed in a couple of months. Literally in a couple of months it transformed. When I got it, when I understood cause and effect, I promise you, I went from absolute destitution to on the road to something that was just incredible. It was scary. It was absolutely scary. It is scary when you understand that you're the cause of your effect. You got to take responsibility. You got to take ownership. And yeah, especially if you spent a life justifying and looking at the effect and trying to change the effect all the time. And what we do is, because we're always trying to deal with the effect and it doesn't work, we justify it. We justify why it didn't work because we have to. Because that's our innate nature. Our innate nature is that we want to be right. Okay, that's how we are. That's how we're wired. In that brain state, in that hindbrain or amygdala brain state, we have to be right. And when you are just trying to deal with the effect, that's where you're at. That's where you're in. You're in your hindbrain, and that's what will keep you in that cycle of trying to deal with the effect, deal with the effect, deal with the effect. And when the effect doesn't change the cause, or when the effect doesn't change the outcome, we justify. We spend our life justifying. We get into that pattern of justifying. So I want to say to you, pattern interrupt. Stop everything. Pause. Put a pause. And just start looking at Where in your life have you not got exactly what you would love? Or where in your life is not exactly as you would love it to be? And I mean exactly. Not just enough, not what you need, but what you would love. Because let me ask you a question. Why on God's earth would you settle for anything less than what you would love? Why? There is absolutely no reason. Here's the thing. If you've been given a vision from God, Mother Nature, the universe, whoever it was, you've been given a vision for what you would love your life to be. You've been given the tools to be able to fulfill that vision. And what's more, you deserve it. To think otherwise is pretty much like, dare I say it, pissing on Mother Nature's face, isn't it, really, to put it brutally? I mean, really, it's not very nice, right? I mean, really and truly, let's be honest about it now. To think that you have been given a vision and you then assume that something as amazing and wonderful as Mother Nature, God, the universe gave you this vision and you decide that you don't deserve it? No, I'm not buying that game anymore, and neither will you. Okay, if you look at your life as it is there anything in your life that is not exactly as you would love it to be? Then ask yourself this question. What have you been justifying? What have you been justifying? What are the excuses you've been making? What are they? When you start asking yourself these questions, you start looking and seeing where you've been justifying, where you've been dealing with the effect. Because the more you deal with the effect, the more you're going to be justifying. Nothing changes. Absolutely nothing changes. So you might ask me, what do I mean by cause and effect? Okay, so let's say for example, you haven't got the wealth you would love. Okay, you have a vision for what your life would be. You would love to work, say, 4 hours a day. You would love to spend 4 hours a day at work. You would love to spend 4 hours a day building on your philanthropic activities, raising awareness around whatever it might be. You're making a shift in terms of the global. Here's a really important one. I mean, making a shift around the global perspective of equal rights, irrespective of gender, race, religion, right? So that's something powerful that you could do with your time, right? So if you would love to make a difference in terms of the global state, give back to the universe. You've got a message that you'd love to share with people. You'd love to help the world move forward, right? But you're not in the financial state to be able to stop work full time to be able to give to there. So let's say, for example, that's what your life would be. You'd love to spend a few hours working and a few hours giving back to the world, sharing your message, moving the world forward, making the world a better place to live for everyone, empowering people, right? That you would need wealth to be able to do that. Well, certainly wealth, when I say wealth, I'm talking about financial, certainly a level of financial freedom, like financial security at least, right? If you haven't got that, where are you justifying? What are the excuses you're making? And when you make those excuses, what are you doing to try and change it? What are you doing? Are you trying to look for a better job? Are you trying to start a new business? But it fails, and then you start another business and it maybe fail as well. Or you're trying to get in a job with a few % increase, and then when that doesn't happen or doesn't work out, what are you justifying? Oh, well, I don't have the opportunities, or I'm not educated enough, or whatever it might be. What is it? What is the justification you are using? Okay, because I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, no matter who you are, no matter what gender, race, religion, levels of ability that you have, there is no earthly challenge that you cannot overcome. I swear to you on that. There is no earthly challenge that you cannot overcome. You have a vision of what you would love your life to be. You can make it happen. You can 100% make it happen. When you start understanding that you're the cause of your effect, when you start understanding when you stop trying to understand that it's the effect that will give you the results, then dealing with the effect is going to change the outcome. When you stop focusing on that and start focusing on the cause, which is yourself, ourselves, which is us, right? That is when we step into true empowerment. And when you're truly empowered, you are in your full brain. When you're in your full brain, you have foresight, objectivity, you've got balance, you can navigate, you're completely 100% aligned to the universe, you're connected to the greater universe, equally you're connected to your heart and soul. And in that space, you're intuitive. In that space, you are inspired, you're unstoppable. Okay, that's where you start getting to the truth. That's where you start listening to the voice of your heart. That's where you start understanding that you live congruent with your values to your telos, your North Star, your chief aim. When you focus on that and nothing else, focus on what it is that enriches your life, fulfills your life, whatever that might be. Right? What is it? Get clear about what it is you would absolutely love in your life, and where are the gaps? All right, to what it is right now. Where are the gaps? Where are the gaps of where you would love your life to be and where it is right now? Where have you been justifying, and where have you been repeatedly trying to change the effect? The more we try and change the effect, the more justification we give it. All right, stop that. Put a halt on that. Just try something else and start looking at what is the cause. So, for example, you haven't got the wealth you would love. What is the cause? It's not the money, it's not the jobs you've been getting, it's not the businesses you've been establishing, it's not that you haven't been lucky not to inherit money or be able to win the lottery or whatever it is. It's got nothing to do with all of that. We are the cause. That is true empowerment. What am I doing, or what is it about me that feels I don't deserve it? Or what are the blocks that I have that are stopping me from stepping into owning that, creating that? The opposite to creation is not destruction, it's justification. Where am I stopping what it is that I would love to create? When you own that, you are all powerful. You are connected to something bigger than your mortal body. And that's when you can use the universe, the power of your heart, the power of your intuition to create absolutely anything that you would absolutely love to create. That's when you start knocking down those walls. You start knocking down the blocks. You start crushing the inhibitions. You stop being too humble to step into your power. When you start acknowledging and you start asking the question, what am I doing to stop it? What am I doing to stop myself stepping into my power? What am I doing? What are my blocks? What are my beliefs? When you start doing that, you start building self-awareness. And that's when you start what I call splitting the double glazing. Okay, so if you know double glazing is 2 panes of glass or in your home maybe to keep out wind and condensation, I think. But anyway, wind, definitely. So you've got 2 panes of glass. So imagine on the one pane of glass that's inside your home is the voice of your heart. The outside pane of glass that takes all the beating from the weather is the voice of your head, or your amygdala, or your hindbrain. The closer they are together like that, the less you're going to be able to identify which is which. You're not going to be able to prize them apart and hear the voice of your heart over the voice of your head. The thing is, when it's like that, when it's really close together like that, the voice of the head is so loud, because that's the fight or flight, that's the urgency, that's what creates the fear, watch, all the time. You're like, you've got to justify, deal with the fact, justify. That's the voice of the amygdala, that's the voice of the head, and that is the loudest. Okay, that drowns out everything. And that voice of the head is what looks outside of us for everything. Looks outside of us for justification. Looks outside of us for reasons. Looks outside of us for support. Looks outside of us for belonging. For everything. And that's when we disempower ourselves. That's when we put the agendas of others above our own souls and hearts and our own needs. That is not putting your own agenda first. That's not living congruent with your values. That's not allowing you to live to your North Star, to your telos, chief aim in mind. Telos, that's what it is, the chief purpose in life. Okay, this is so loud that it drowns out the voice of your heart. Do you ever feel that? Do you ever feel like really not heard, not understood? That you don't matter? Do you ever feel like that? It's because you're not listening to the voice of your heart. Because you do matter. You deserve the wealth that, you deserve the freedom that wealth brings. You deserve the wealth that you desire in your heart. It's your divine right. It's your divine right to have the wealth to support the vision that you have for your life. So the best, the most powerful way to start understanding cause is to start prizing apart those two panes of glass, so that you can identify when it is the brain speaking and when it's the heart speaking. Because the thing is, so many people get caught into a spiral that justification is a way of life, that it's a habit, and it gets noisy and comfortable, that we then start to when we take a moment to start to, like, when you're in that spiral, right, you're justifying, and you're trying to change the effect all the time and getting more of the same, and actually probably more, worse, getting more of the same. The problem is that when we then try and connect with intuition or connect with our heart, with the two panes of glass, with the double glazing tight like that, we then confuse that gut feel with intuition. A lot of people confuse gut feel with intuition or fear. Now, I've asked so many people on talks that I've done and events I've done over the past couple of years, have you ever regretted following your gut feeling? And almost every single person said yes. Do you know why? Not because that's the voice of the heart. You will never regret listening to your heart. It's impossible. You cannot, because your heart's connected to the universe, your heart's connected to your soul, your heart's connected to something way bigger than your mortal body. You can never regret listening to the voice of your heart, but you will regret listening to the voice of your head, your amygdala, because that's driven by fear, it's driven by scarcity, it's driven by lack, it's driven by everything that's constricted, because it's fight or flight, predator prey. You're always at risk, okay? And it's always creating false negatives. It has to, by default, it has to assume there's a predator. So you're going to go out there assuming there's a predator. And there isn't. It's creating a false positive. But you physiologically are expecting a predator. It's not a state for creativity, is it? That's a state for contraction. Okay, the amygdala, our head, our hindbrain has a really good role in life. Okay, it keeps us alive. It stops us from running out in front of a bus. That's great. Be grateful for it. But it does not have a role in thriving and allowing us to thrive in life. It does not have a role in allowing us to step into the full extent of our power. It does not have a role in allowing us to live life to the create a life of our vision, create the wealth that we deserve. That, guys, is in the realm of the heart. Do not confuse gut feel with intuition. Gut feel is fear. Okay? Don't confuse it. So when you start prizing those two panes of glass apart, you will then start getting very clear, and it'll be very loud and very, very obvious very quickly that this voice here is the voice of the head, voice of the amygdala. That's trying to keep you safe, it's trying to keep you alive. Alright? But it's also creating false positives. It's also the instigator of you feeling stress, fear, anxiety. Right? It's not the truth. It's perception. That is perception. Understand this. The role of the amygdala, the role of your hindbrain, is to keep you safe. Predator prey. Its role is to keep you safe by creating false positives all the time, or false negatives. Okay? That's its role. So therefore, by default, it's going to have to give you stress, anxiety, fear, lack, contraction. The role of your heart and soul, and when you start listening to that voice and following that voice, that's the voice of truth. That is the voice of love, compassion, empathy, appreciation. That's where anything is possible. That's where you're unstoppable. That's when you have the voice of the heart and you start hearing and feeling into the blocks that are holding you back. That allows you to start examining and thinking, well, why do I not have the wealth I would love? Why do I not live every single day to the fullest extent of my potential? Why am I allowing myself to handbrake my life? If you start asking yourself those quality questions, then you'll start seeing where the blocks are that are holding you back, and the more you'll see the truth of them. Because those blocks are based on assumptions, perceptions that you've had and you've gained, that you've gathered over the years, that have formed beliefs. Those perceptions have literally formed belief, and that's all they are. It's just perceptions, okay? And they're lies. They're not truth. They're perceptions, driven by the amygdala, and it's a perception to keep you safe, and you have inadvertently allowed it to form your truth when it's not. It's a lie. Okay, so you have my full permission. Now give yourself permission to examine those perceptions that you have and start seeing the truth. Sure, a belief was formed as a result of an event that happened, and it may have been appropriate at the time. The issue, the challenge is that it actually, what it neurologically created was shifts, neurological shifts, where neurons then connected in a certain way that embedded those beliefs. And over years, you've responded to those beliefs so they become part of who you are, you think. And each time you do that, you build up protein around those neurons, and it becomes more and more embedded, and it gets deeper, deeper, deeper into the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind. Okay, so what I want you to do is start focusing on prizing apart those two panes of glass, and start listening and differentiating between the voice of the head and the voice of the heart. The voice of the heart will never, ever, ever let you down. That's the truth. That's the truth of who you are. Now start stepping into it. You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. You deserve the freedom that wealth brings in order for you to live the life to the fullest extent of your potential and to give back something. The world needs to hear you. The world needs to see you. And now more than ever, oh my God, guys, now more than ever, we need great people. We need leaders right now more than ever. So let's go out and step up into it, hey? We need leaders. The world is crying out for leadership, for people who are driven from the place of the heart, where there's love, compassion, empathy, and appreciation for everyone and everything. You deserve it. The world deserves it. You have a message. Now get out there and share it. And let's make this world something that's joyful, that's wonderful, that's beautiful. Okay. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.